The world has changed, and we can see that all around us. A trade war is in no one's interest, and that's the case that I'll be making very clearly in Washington this week. But at the same time, we do need a fair trade system.
Where are we on that elusive US trade deal? There's a memo circulating about Washington demands on food quotas, on US beef. I thought food standards were non-negotiable, or do we just have to accept whatever Scott Bessent puts on the table?
We will only sign a trade deal if it's in our country's national interest. I've been very clear about that. Our food standards are non-negotiable. We're not going to be reducing food standards in the United Kingdom. We'll stand up for the farming sector in the UK and also British consumers. So people should have no worries about that. But we are making good progress with the United States on securing a trade agreement, an economic agreement. We're not going to rush into a deal. We want the right deal, not a rushed deal, and a deal that is in our national interest.
Can you give people at home in Britain any sense of how close we are, what this special relationship is going to deliver? Are we still front of the queue?
Well, we're making good progress, and it's clear that the United States also see the benefits of securing an agreement with the UK because ours is a strong economy.
Months?
I'm not going to put a time frame on it because the most important thing is that we get the right deal for Britain in the national interest. The British economy is open. It's open to trade, to business and investment. And whilst I'm here in the US this week, I'll also be meeting with businesses here to make the case that the political and the financial stability that the UK is able to offer now is a good reason to invest in Britain.
Let's talk a little bit about that stability, because are you concerned, Chancellor, at the prospect that the US might withdraw from Bretton Woods institutions like the IMF? Does it matter if the US withdraws from the IMF?
I don't think there's any worry that that is going to happen. The International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, 80 years old this week, and they have served the global economy well. Of course, reforms are needed. There are imbalances in the global economy. Some countries run persistent large surpluses and some countries run persistent large trade deficits.
Is that a problem? Do you agree with President Trump that that is a problem that needs to be tackled?
Yes, it is a problem. I believe in free trade, but I also believe in fair trade, and unfair practices, undercutting of other countries with lower standards, with untransparent subsidies. Those aren't good for the global economy. But the point is that the UK is not one of those countries that runs persistent surpluses with other countries. We're not part of the problem.
It's taken 8 decades to build that. And even though the tone is softer this morning, it's being dismantled very quickly, isn't it? In less than 100 days, the IMF warns that this could result in financial crises and civil unrest. Is there a realistic and safe alternative to Pax Americana?
Well, I believe in the role that the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank have in reducing poverty around the world and also in ensuring economic, monetary and fiscal stability. And that is something worth preserving. I have confidence that the United States believe in that as well. So I will always stand up for the British national interest, whether that is supporting...
It just so happens to be pleasing for the American government.
It's the right thing to do.
Just lastly, you were talking about British strengths. Public borrowing has overshot estimates. From just a month ago, your headroom has gone again. The IFS says this lays bare how perilous the UK's finances are. How much more can we cut from public services, and how are we going to get back to that growth agenda?
This government are getting a grip of the public finances after 14 years of mismanagement. When I became Chancellor, I took immediate action to close the £22 billion black hole in the public finances that we inherited from
business surveys are at a
Conservatives.
24-month low this morning.
We do have huge strengths as an economy. Of course, there are global headwinds, but because we are a strong country and a strong economy, I know that we can withstand those.
That's not feeding across to the businesses yet. Are you disappointed by that? You know, when you see manufacturing and services in contraction, the PMIs, it's disappointing that all of those planning reforms aren't feeding through to business sentiment.
I'm not complacent. There's more that we need to do to improve the growth in our economy and, in the end, to improve living standards of ordinary working people. That's what this government and me as Chancellor are going flat out to achieve.
Thank you very much, Chancellor.
Thank you.